Welcome to Pro Tool Reviews. What I have here today is the Stihl MSA 300 CO. What we're going to do is take a closer look at it, see if it really lives up to the hype, and see what it's all about. Let's take a closer look. So to get started, what I want to do is give you a tour of the outside of the saw. As we kind of rotate it here, you'll see that there's a lot of familiar things if you're already a fan of Stihl chainsaws. The form factor is exactly that of their gas saws. Your D handle in the front here allows you to use it from the side or the top. The handle, your control handle in the back. Your emergency blade brake works just the same. Your controls back here, same location as your gas saw, but they do a little bit different things. I'll go through those shortly. And as I come back around, you're gonna see that even the way the blade attaches, we adjust the tension on the blade, is just like what you're used to. This saw does weigh in at 17.2 pounds, so it's not light, but it's also right in line with other saws of this caliber that are gas. So it's something that the balance feels really good. This particular saw comes with an 18-inch bar. It does use standard chain that is half-inch gauge pitch and also 0.325 chain pitch. So this is the same chain that you would find on your Farm Boss, and it's a heavy-duty chain. It's pro chain, so that you can really go to town on whatever saw cutting project you might have. As we look at this chain and bar, what I'm gonna do is put this cover back on so I don't cut myself. This chain is brand new and very sharp. I'm gonna show you what it is to change the chain, tension the chain, and some of the features under the cover here. Let's go ahead and set it down again like this for a moment so I can break these nuts loose. And so one of the nice things is the motor housing, this cover is all made out of metal. The motor housing is made out of magnesium and gives it a very nice sturdy feel. And what's nice on this cover is these are captured nuts, which means that if you're out in the field, you're working somewhere, those nuts won't fall out. They stay in the housing, so you don't have to worry about losing your bar nuts. And when we look at the chain now here, I'll take this off, and there we go. What we have inside of here is your drive sprocket. So one of the questions I've seen online is, does this use a clutch or is it direct drive? And the answer is this is direct drive. This saw, since it's electric, does not need a clutch. The electric motor is instant torque. There's no spool up or anything like that like you'd be used to on a chainsaw, a gas chainsaw. The other thing is, as you look at this too, this is your oiling port. So this is where the oil will come out, oil your bar and chain. And here's your tension screw. And if you watch this little peg right here, as I turn the screw, depending on what direction it is, it'll either move in or out, which then pushes that bar further out or pulls it in, obviously controlling the tension on your chain. And a properly tensioned chain is everything. As far as your chain go, it is a pro chain. We do have a roller tip on here, and it uses, there we go, get that chain back in the groove on that bar. And this is the Stihl Light 04 bar, and it's available on other saws. Do need to point out that this saw actually is available as a kit with different bars. This is the 18-inch bar, like I said before, but it also comes with 16 or a 24-inch as well, or a 20-inch as well. In order to install the chain back on, we want to line this up on our sprocket here. So we want to get our chain lined up on the sprocket, and then also we want to make sure that the bar fits down all the way down tight to the flange and make sure that the tension pin pops through. Once we have that in place, we can go ahead and take our cover, install this back in place. And thankfully, these are captured nuts, so it makes it very easy. We want to snug those up. We want to tighten them yet because we want to make sure we tighten our tension our chain before we tighten those. As you can see, we got some play in that chain. So we're going to take that out. Put our screwdriver here. It does come with this handy tool that is also your nut and screwdriver tool. So turn this a little bit, get tension on our chain. That feels about right. After having used a chainsaw for a while, you'll develop the feel for how much tension you need to have on there. And once we get it to the right tension, what we're going to do is tighten these nuts the rest of the way. You don't have to Superman tighten them. You just want them to be really snug so they don't back off and loosen up, but you also want to leave it so the next guy can loosen it as well. So that should be good right there. Set our screwdriver aside. I'm going to go ahead and replace this cover just so I don't cut myself as we're moving around the saw, looking at different parts of it. So as I rotate the saw again here, coming around this side, we have steel buck bars. That way we can press up against our material, push against it, don't have to worry about the saw moving, and we get some good leverage. And this is where we add our bar and chain oil. Little reservoir right here. It actually holds like 10.2 ounces or 10.5 ounces, and pretty good sized reservoir. What's built into the saw, and people wonder this, it is the MSA 300 C-O. That C-O actually stands for something. One is C for comfort, so it has some element of comfort built to using the saw, which I think is their anti-vibration technology built in, so the handles are isolated from the motor assembly, but also it has an oil sensor. And this oil sensor allows you to know up on your little screen on the front if our bar and chain oil is low. Right now, it actually is low. So I'm going to go ahead and put some in here so that we're ready to go test here in just a moment. So fill this up. I'm not going to fill it all the way, but go ahead and put some in here so that we're ready to go. There we go. And it's nice too, this is also captured so that you can't lose the cap. So again, if you're out in the field, doing some work in the field, you're not going to misplace or lose that. And to install this, we just turn it, quarter turn, lock the lever down, and we're good to go. Wipe up any mess that you might have made. And that's how we oil the saw. So now flipping it back up, we come back around to the back of the saw. So first thing we have is our battery compartment, which is right here in the top of the saw. If you notice, this locks securely in place. There's two little tabs, top and bottom here, that when I squeeze those, pop the battery up, and I can pull it out. Should be noted that the batteries that are available, one of them is the 300S, the AP300S. If you use the AP300S in this saw, you are locked out of top speed and middle speed, actually. You only can use an echo mode. Now, if you use the 500, the AP500S, you get full access to all of the modes of the saw. And as far as turning the saw on, it looks something like this. Take this blade cover off. I'm going to go ahead and turn it on. So push down, again, you're going to use your operating hand to push down on this little lever right here on the side, turns the saw on. Once you see this light up, you know you're ready to operate. So if you notice, we have a red LED light right here for our brake. As soon as I turn that off, now it's ready to operate. Push that forward, our brake is back on. I'll turn that off in just a moment after we go through these modes. We also have is a oil level mode. In the event that our bar and chain level is getting low, our lube, this will illuminate and let us know, hey, we need to add some lube. And also there is a temperature thermometer here as well. It lets us know that the temperature of the saw is getting too hot and we need to let it cool down. Now, as far as modes go, as long as we have the AP500 battery in here, we can switch modes, and that's done by pressing this button right here. And so one press gives us eco, another press gives us middle mode, and then third press gives us our top speed. Time for your cutting time will vary, and it's between 20 to 40 minutes of cut time with this battery depending on which mode you're using. So if you're doing light work, not heavy branches, echo mode will probably be sufficient. But if you're actually cutting real wood, actually cutting hardwood, you're going to want to put this into your max mode. Now, I do want to have you guys listen to the different sounds that each mode makes, so you can kind of get an idea speed-wise what we're seeing here. And so I'll go ahead and put this in echo mode and go ahead and turn it on. And I'll switch now to the next mode, the middle mode. And lastly, our maximum mode. And you can hear audibly the difference between each of those modes. You can see that, and I'm sure we'll see it when we demonstrate it outside, what each of those do as well. I'm going to go ahead and put the cover back on so I don't cut myself. And let's see if there's anything else to point out. It is nice, the comfort that's built into the saw. I do have to say that you can feel that the handles are isolated from the motor body, and that will definitely help with the vibration as you're using a saw like this. anyone that's used a chainsaw would know that there is always some sort of vibration that you're felt as the user. So I think with that, let's go ahead and take this outside, see what it does and see how it feels cutting some real wood. So what I've done here is set up a piece of oak. This is seasoned, ready to go. It's about 8-9 inches in diameter. I've already made a couple cuts just to get a feel for the saw, and I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate for you guys how echo mode works, the middle mode and the max mode. I want you to pay attention to things like how fast it's cutting, how good it's ejecting the chips out of the bottom of the saw, and I think you'll get an idea of what kind of performance you can expect if you were to get one of these. So go ahead and turn my saw on. All right, change it to echo mode. So here's echo mode. This is our slowest mode. Obviously will give us also the longest run time. So here's our first cut. Went through pretty easy, but I kind of had to go a little slow with it just because of the echo mode. Now let's try the next mode. This is the middle mode, a little faster. Again, no real issues getting through the material with this. And now our last mode. I'll make one more cut, pushing it a little bit more. I've been letting the blade do the work, which is the way you're supposed to use a chainsaw. You're never supposed to let you pressing on the saw, forcing it through the material. You're supposed to allow the blade to do the cutting and do all the work for you. But I'm going to give it a little pressure just to see how it behaves. And there you have it. Not any issue getting through this oak. So what we saw was a quick demonstration of what the Stihl MSA 300 can do. By no means is that conclusive. I'm sure it can do more. But given time and constraint, we'll have to leave that for another day. One of the questions that we've raised here at Pro Tool Reviews is, how would this saw compare, say, to a gas equivalent saw? And as far as equivalent goes, this probably is in the range of a 50 to 60 cc gas motor. Stihl is saying on their website that this compares well to their Farm Boss 271. So if you know that saw, there's plenty of power there. And they're saying this saw is comparable to that as far as performance. Now, runtime's another question. You're going to get anywhere between 22 to 40 some minutes runtime on this battery, depending on material you're cutting and what mode you're using that in. So battery does come at a cost. There is a convenience to it. There's no emissions. Some places are requiring no emissions, like California, for example. So this is an ideal pick for working in that environment. They do come a little bit higher though. This one's $800 tool only and around $1,300 as a kit, which comes with the AP500S battery, a charger, and the saw that you see here. These should be available anywhere Stihl is sold, so find your local dealer and they should be able to connect you with one of these saws. I don't think you will be disappointed. I am curious to know though, are you on board with battery-powered chainsaws? You know, of all power tools, outdoor power tools, chainsaws seem to be the one that people seem to be hesitant on adopting. And I'm curious to know, what saws have you used? What are your thoughts about them? What are your thoughts about this Stihl saw? Leave me a comment below and love to hear your thoughts. If you like this video, give us a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe so you get the latest and greatest news from Pro Tool Reviews. And as always, thanks for watching.